Have you ever been startled by a cracking sound from your knee just after standing up from a chair? Or maybe your ankle ached intensely, like it was twisting, the moment you put your foot on the floor in the morning, and your hip joint doesn't complain when you're sitting, but after just a few steps, it throbs with a dull ache, as if someone's tightening it from the inside? If that sounds familiar, then please be alert. That's not simply normal aging as many people might think. In fact, those creaks, that pain, could be the first signal of chronic arthritis, a silent inflammatory process that destroys joint cartilage day by day. And even more dangerously, it could be starting right from what you're eating every day without even realizing it. I've witnessed hundreds of similar cases. People think that only medication can control joint pain, but the truth is some foods can fuel inflammation, making joints swollen, red, stiff, and gradually losing flexibility. Yet right from that same dinner table, a few seemingly ordinary dishes have the ability to soothe inflamed tissues, significantly reduce pain, and even support cartilage regeneration. And this is precisely what I want to bring to you today. In this video, I'll share 7 foods that I believe can transform how you feel when you walk, sit down, or simply get out of bed in the morning. Each item is based on solid medical research, clearly clinically tested, and the best part is, they're not hard to find or expensive at all. You might have heard that salmon is good for your heart, but today, I'm going to show you why it's also a joint companion for your knees, or perhaps a tiny berry, often overlooked in the fridge, possesses anti-inflammatory power even stronger than many over-the-counter medications. If you're living with arthritis or simply want to prevent it before it gets worse, these will be very valuable minutes for you. And who knows, after a few weeks of trying these, you might be surprised to walk without wincing in pain anymore. Get your pen and paper ready if you need to take notes, because right now, I'm opening the first door, with the very first name on the list of joint healing foods everyone over 50 should know. Ready? Let's start right now. When someone asks me about the first food they should add to their diet to help reduce joint inflammation, my answer is almost always 2 words: salmon. When people think of fish, most immediately think of benefits for heart health or memory. But here's something few people know. For those struggling with dull aches in their knees or ankles, salmon can be the first healing food they should add to their weekly menu. I want you to picture this. Inside your joints, every day, tiny biological reactions are taking place. Some reactions are beneficial, helping to regenerate cartilage and nourish the joint. But there are also inflammatory reactions, silently activating enzymes that destroy cartilage, accelerating collagen breakdown, and making joints swell, redden, and hurt more with every movement. And this is where EPA and DHA, 2 types of omega-3s incredibly abundant in salmon, come into play. They don't just naturally soothe the inflammatory response, they also inhibit an enzyme called COX-2, which is the main culprit behind the production of prostaglandin E2, a very strong inflammatory mediator in joint tissue. Someone once asked me, how much of an impact can eating fish really have? And the answer lies right in a credible study published in Arthritis Care and Research. Individuals with rheumatoid arthritis who simply ate fish twice a week showed significantly lower levels of pain and swelling compared to the control group. No need to overhaul their entire diet. Just by increasing fish intake, their joints felt noticeably better. Now, let's think about how to easily incorporate salmon into your meals, making it both effective and convenient. You don't need to be fancy. A piece of fish, about 100 to 120 grams, roughly 3.5 to 4 ounces, lightly steamed with a few lemon slices or baked with herbs, is enough for your body to fully absorb that valuable omega-3. If you can't find fresh salmon, high-quality canned salmon, or even sardines are also excellent alternatives. But wait, before you add salmon to your grocery list, there's one important thing to note. For those taking blood thinners, omega-3s can have a mild interaction because they also have a slight blood thinning property. So if you're on this type of medication, it's best to talk to your doctor first for clear guidance. A quick question for you. Have you eaten any fish this past week? If so, what kind was it? And if not, what held you back? Try to think about whether tonight's dinner could be an opportunity for you to get back to eating fish. Because sometimes just a small change in your diet can unlock a big shift in how your legs feel. Salmon isn't a luxury, It's a simple yet smart investment for steps that no longer make you wince in pain. And after salmon, there's another name, one that sounds much more modest, yet possesses anti-inflammatory power that even the pharmaceutical industry takes notice of. Can you guess what it is? We'll explore it right after this. There are some incredibly humble things in the kitchen that hold almost unimaginable power. One of these is turmeric, that small, vibrant yellow root once considered the spice of life in the East. But what I want to talk about here isn't turmeric's color or flavor, it's about its most essential component, curcumin. In my many years working with arthritis patients, I've encountered countless cases where people had to rely on daily pain medication due to persistent, unending inflammation. But unfortunately, while those medications offer quick pain relief, they can put pressure on the liver, kidneys, or stomach with long-term use. And that's why more and more research is starting to focus on natural, more sustainable solutions. Curcumin is one of the clearest bright spots. You might be surprised to learn that curcumin can strongly inhibit inflammatory substances like TNF-alpha, IL-6, and IL-1V, familiar names in the process of joint cartilage destruction. Curcumin even reduces the activity of an enzyme called MMP13, which directly erodes collagen in the joints. Simply put, curcumin doesn't just stop inflammation, it also protects the structural foundation of your joints, the very thing that helps you stand, walk, and move flexibly every day. This isn't just a hypothesis. In a clinical trial published in Clinical Interventions in Aging, individuals who took 1,500 milliliters of curcumin daily reported significant improvements in pain levels, walking ability, and joint stiffness, with efficacy comparable to ibuprofen, but without the stomach issues. However, curcumin has one small weakness. It's difficult for the body to absorb into the bloodstream without assistance. So, for it to be truly effective, you should choose curcumin products that contain piperine, an extract from black pepper, or modern nanotechnology to enhance bioavailability. If you prefer using fresh or powdered turmeric in your cooking, you can mix turmeric with warm milk, a pinch of black pepper, and some coconut oil, a traditional yet still very effective method. I know many people are still hesitant about using turmeric, fearing its pungent taste or worrying about its impact on the gallbladder. In reality, at appropriate doses and used correctly, curcumin is a valuable ally that doesn't cause side effects like many medications. However, individuals with gallstones, severe stomach ulcers, or unstable liver conditions should consult their doctor before use. Perhaps now's the time for you to take a look. How long has it been since turmeric made an appearance in your kitchen? And if today is the first day, could you try a warm glass of turmeric milk before bed, as a gentle message to your tired joints? Just as turmeric soothes inflamed tissues, there's another tiny berry, seemingly nothing special, that silently activates powerful protective mechanisms right within your knee joints. Want to know what fruit that is? Let's continue in the next section. Some of my patients have wondered, why does the same diet make one person's knee pain subside significantly while another's dull ache persists? The answer sometimes lies in very small details, like a handful of blueberries appearing consistently in their breakfast each day. No one would think such a tiny fruit like a blueberry could make such a big difference. But what happens inside the body after eating blueberries is an astonishing chain of reactions. Within that deep purple skin is a powerful compound called anthocyanin. This substance not only gives the fruit its color, but also acts as a protective barrier against inflammation. If you've heard of NF-κB, a factor that controls a whole host of inflammation-causing genes in the body, then anthocyanin is its most formidable natural opponent. It can disrupt the activation process of NF-κB, minimizing the production of substances like IL-6 and TNF-alpha, factors often found in high amounts in inflamed joints. I remember an elderly woman, nearly 70, who suffered from chronic ankle swelling to the point of needing a crutch when walking in the supermarket. After a few weeks of dietary changes, which included adding blueberries to her unsweetened yogurt each morning, she returned for her follow-up appointment with a gentle smile and said, "I don't know if it's thanks to those little berries, but my leg swelling has really gone down." While one case can't be definitive proof, it's a vivid illustration of what science is also beginning to show. In a study from Food and Function, scientists used anthocyanin extract from berries to test on an arthritis model. The result? A clear reduction in inflammation and cartilage degeneration. These findings help explain why blueberries aren't just mentioned in the list of heart-healthy foods, but are increasingly seen as a crucial part of an anti-inflammatory diet for arthritis. So how do you use them to maximize their benefits? The answer is quite simple. Just 1/2 to 1 cup of fresh or frozen blueberries daily is enough to make a positive impact. You can mix them with your morning oatmeal, add them to smoothies, or enjoy them with plain yogurt. If you don't like them cold, you can lightly cook them to make a sauce to top whole grain toast. However, one point to note is that you should choose unsweetened blueberries. Some frozen or canned products might contain syrup or added sweeteners, which is not only counterproductive but can also cause blood sugar spikes, especially for those with a history of prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. The question now is, if a simple food like blueberries can help soothe inflammation, what else are we missing? Ask yourself every time you pick up your breakfast spoon, could adding a few blueberries be a gentle way to send a message to your joints that your body is still being cared for? We've just gone through a cool and subtly sweet option, but in the next part, you'll encounter a familiar liquid. Not a dessert, nor a fruit, but something nicknamed natural ibuprofen in the nutrition world. Guessed it yet? If not, don't worry. The answer is coming right up. Many people often think of cooking oil as something to limit, especially as age starts piling on warnings about heart health, weight, and blood pressure. But interestingly, not all fats are bad. In fact, there's a type of oil that's not only not harmful, but is also considered part of a natural regimen to help soothe inflammation in joints, especially in areas like the knees, ankles, or hips, and that's extra virgin olive oil. I once met an elderly man in his 60s who was very meticulous about his health. He asked a question that stuck with me. I need something natural that doesn't involve medication, so my joints don't creak every time I stand up. The answer I gave him was this seemingly simple oil, yet it has a miraculous active compound, oleocanthal. This compound is found in extra virgin olive oil, and what's special is that it works in a very similar way to ibuprofen, a common non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. This isn't just talk. In a study by Beauchamp and colleagues, oleocanthal was shown to inhibit COX-1 and COX-2 enzymes, two key links in the chain reaction that causes inflammation in joint tissue. When these enzymes are limited, the production of prostaglandins, the culprits behind swelling and pain, also sharply decreases. The result is that your knees no longer feel stiff in the morning and your ankles don't throb at the end of the day. Of course, not everyone recognizes the power of this oil from the first use, but I often advise older patients to gradually start replacing their cooking oils with extra virgin olive oil. There's no need to drown your food in it or use too much. Just 1 to 2 tablespoons per day, mixed into salads, drizzled over steamed vegetables, or lightly added to soup after it's cooked. One thing I always emphasize, extra virgin olive oil is not suitable for high heat frying. When it's heated too much, beneficial compounds like oleocanthal break down and can even create harmful molecules. So using this oil for finishing dishes or light preparation is the best way to preserve all its benefits. There's another point many people overlook. If you're trying to manage your weight, measure your oil intake carefully. While it's good for your joints, olive oil still contains calories. Don't let a drizzle of oil be the reason your waistline expands without your joints feeling any better. So if you're planning a fresh green salad or a light chicken soup tomorrow morning, why not try adding a little extra virgin olive oil to it? Just a small spoonful could be an important step in helping your knees stop silently protesting with every step. After discussing this liquid, let's continue our journey. A dark leafy green vegetable is about to appear. It's unassuming, not fancy, but it can act as a biological shield to protect the precious cartilage in your joints. Let's discover it right now. Some foods never make anyone gasp in awe at first glance. Spinach is a prime example. It's not flashy like tropical fruits, nor fragrant like grilled fish or olive oil. In fact, many people have turned their noses up at a plate of greens on the table, thinking it's just a side dish. But in the world of dull aches in the knees, ankles, or hips, this humble vegetable quietly plays the role of a diligent gatekeeper. I remember once meeting an elderly patient who told me, "I never thought that simple stir-fried vegetable dish would help my legs ache less at the end of the day." And indeed, spinach does that, not by magic, but by a very clear mechanism that science has proven. Spinach contains a compound called kaempferol. It might sound unfamiliar, but its effect on your joints is very specific. Kaempferol helps inhibit the activity of NF-kappa B, an inflammatory factor often strongly activated in arthritic conditions. When NF-kappa B is suppressed, the amount of inflammatory cytokines like IL-1 a culprit that destroys cartilage tissue, also significantly decreases. And not only that, spinach is also rich in lutein and beta-carotene, two antioxidants that can protect your cartilage from the silent attack of free radicals. Of course, knowing about the benefits of vegetables won't do any good unless you actually eat them. I often advise people to start simply. 3 to 4 times a week, incorporate spinach into your meals as a main component, not just a plate decoration. You can lightly stir-fry it with garlic, cook it in a soup with chicken, or mix it into a salad with olive oil and a few slices of boiled egg. Just make sure to keep its fresh green color and avoid overcooking, as some nutrients will be lost if the vegetables are boiled for too long. And you should also know one important thing: spinach contains a fairly high amount of vitamin K. For those using blood thinners, you should discuss this with your doctor to adjust your intake accordingly. You shouldn't avoid it entirely, but controlling the amount is essential. Interestingly, when eating vegetables regularly, many people not only feel less joint pain, but also experience lighter movement and even improve sleep, because as inflammation subsides, that persistent throbbing sensation no longer lingers through the night. If you ever thought that protecting your joints required complex methods, try starting with a bunch of fresh spinach every week. You might be surprised at how such a simple dish can bring about such a light-footed feeling. And now we'll move on to an option that many people love, not just for its uniquely rich and buttery flavor, but also for its powerful effectiveness in stimulating cartilage tissue regeneration. A fruit that's as smooth as butter, yet has a deep impact on hip and knee joints. Please continue with me. Sometimes joint pain doesn't hit suddenly like a collision. Instead, it quietly lingers, as if your knee joint is sighing in exhaustion after every step. It's not visibly swollen or red, but it's enough to make you hesitate to stand up or shy away from the familiar steps on your porch. For these dull, persistent aches, the solution sometimes isn't overly powerful or specialized, but rather lies in the seemingly gentlest foods on your plate. And on that list, avocado is a special name, not because of its glossy appearance or appealing creamy taste, but because it contains a type of compound rarely mentioned, yet highly valuable for older adults with joint issues. I'm talking about a group of nutrients called ASU, short for avocado soybean unsaponifiables. If the name sounds technical, picture it this way. ASU is a group of molecules capable of directly intervening in the inflammation and degeneration processes that occur in joint cartilage. They don't just calm the noise of inflammatory substances, but also support the rebuilding of the cartilage foundation that has been eroding over the years. Anyone who has heard of MMP3, an enzyme that tears apart the cartilage matrix, will understand why inhibiting it is so important, and ASU has been shown to do just that. At the same time, it also promotes the synthesis of type 2 collagen and aggrecan, two indispensable components for cartilage to maintain its elasticity and health. In a long-term study conducted in France, researchers discovered that taking 300 milliliters of ASU daily for 3 years could slow down the narrowing of the joint space in the knee, a concern for many older adults. But the good news is, even without taking extracted supplements, regularly adding avocado to your diet can offer similar benefits if consumed correctly and in the right amounts. You might have eaten avocado as a side dish before, but starting today, avocado can be a part of your smart joint care strategy. And the important thing is, you don't need to eat too much. A quarter to half an avocado daily is sufficient. You can have it with whole wheat toast, add it to your salad, or combine it with boiled eggs. All delicious ways that won't make you feel tired of it. If leafy greens like spinach offer flavonoids to fight inflammation, then avocado is a powerful ally that nourishes cartilage and reduces joint wear over time. It might not eliminate pain overnight, but with consistent use, the results will quietly become apparent with each less painful step, each time you stand up without a slight groan. And now, with your meal already featuring a soft yet potent option for joint health, let's continue by exploring a simple, easy to make beverage that contains a natural compound capable of effectively cleaning up inflammation in your joints, no less than any medication. Are you ready? What comes next will be a surprise. The solution for chronic joint pain and inflammation doesn't always have to be complex or expensive. Sometimes what helps the body gradually recover comes from things seemingly too simple to be considered medicine. And one such simple thing might be sitting in the cup many people sip every morning to start their day. I'm talking about green tea. It's a familiar beverage, but you might not have ever truly seen it as a potent anti-inflammatory tool. So pause for a few seconds and imagine if just 2 cups of tea a day could help protect the precious cartilage in your knees or ankles. Wouldn't it be worth a try? Green tea stands out thanks to a compound called EGCG, an extremely powerful polyphenol. What makes EGCG different is how it quietly intervenes in the inflammatory process. Instead of confronting inflammation directly, like anti-inflammatory drugs, EGCG works persistently at a cellular level, slowing down inflammatory signals like IL-1V and TNFR, factors that contribute to cartilage destruction and cause surrounding joint tissues to swell, heat up, and ache. A study conducted by Ahmed's team in 2005 showed that EGCG can prevent joint damage in chronic inflammation models. And what's interesting is that the EGCG dosage they used could be achieved from a habit of drinking 1 to 2 cups of tea daily. This isn't something just seen in a lab, it's entirely applicable to real life. I often advise patients to choose pure green tea, unsweetened and without added flavorings. Keep it simple. 1 cup in the morning after eating, 1 cup in the early afternoon, like a small ritual to help your body cleanse the joint area, reduce cellular stress, and regulate inflammatory responses. Each sip of tea, upon entering your body, sends a message: calm down, stop the destruction. But there are a few gentle caveats to keep in mind. Avoid drinking green tea on an empty stomach, especially if you have a sensitive one. And if you're taking iron supplements, you should drink tea a few hours apart to avoid absorption interference. These are small points, but they make a big difference with consistent daily use. Many people think that reducing joint pain is a long journey, and it's true. But every journey needs a starting point, and who knows, one morning with steam rising from a warm cup of tea, your body might start to notice a change. A day with less aching, a lighter step, and a small glimmer of hope rekindled within each joint. So there you have it. If the previous choices in this video were about solid foods you could hold, chew, and swallow, now we conclude with the most liquid, gentlest, yet most deeply penetrating option. Green tea isn't just a beverage, it's a smart habit for healthy legs, and if you've ever underestimated it before, perhaps today is the time to reconsider. 1 cup of tea, one step towards recovery, and a new chance for your knees to stop complaining every time you stand up. We've just explored 7 foods that can make a significant difference in your joint health, not just in your knees or hips, but your entire lower body. Salmon with its omega-3s soothes inflammation, curcumin acts like a natural medicine, blueberries bring powerful antioxidants into your system, extra virgin olive oil contributes like a natural ibuprofen. Spinach helps cool down swollen tissues, avocado supports cartilage regeneration, and green tea, gentle yet persistent, protects joints from deep within. I don't expect you to remember all the biological mechanisms or complex scientific names. What's more important is this: each food we just discussed is a small building block. And when arranged correctly and consistently, they will create the foundation for a more stable, lighter feeling in your legs. I know for many watching this video, joint pain has become so familiar that it's almost accepted as a part of life, but you truly don't have to live that way. Less pain, reduced inflammation, and the feeling of lighter steps each morning, All of it can start with just a few small adjustments to your daily meals. If you've tried many methods, from medication to physical therapy, but haven't seen significant improvement, then perhaps it's time to re-examine what you're eating. You don't have to change everything, just add a few of the right foods at the right time and be a little persistent. I always tell my patients, changing your diet is like changing the direction of a large ship. It won't turn around overnight, but if you keep steering the right way, you'll eventually see land. If there's any one food today that you feel like trying, start with your very next meal. And if you found this video helpful, don't hesitate to share it with family or friends, especially anyone quietly enduring joint pain. Thank you for staying until the end. I hope that in just a few weeks, each step will feel lighter, your knees will creak less, and that feeling of freedom in every movement will return, just like in the days before you were limited by pain.